Morning, fam. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys could hear me okay. Right? If you guys could hear me okay. We're gonna go ahead and get it started here probably in another 2 to 3 minutes. Send this link out, gang. Perfect. I see the ones, gang. My apologies. Right, just right now. I'm replying to the group chat. We're gonna get it started here in about 2 minutes. I'm just gonna play. Actually, I'm gonna play one of these laws real quick. Cause I like to start off the stream typically like that.
The second spiritual law of success is the law of giving. This law could also be called the law of giving and receiving because the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Nothing is static. Your body is in dynamic and constant exchange with the body of the universe. Your mind is dynamically interacting with the mind of the cosmos. Your energy is an expression of cosmic energy. This harmonious interaction of elements and forces in your life operates as the law of giving and receiving. And because your body and your mind and the universe are in constant and dynamic exchange, if you stop the circulation of energy, it's like stopping the flow of blood. As soon as you stop the flow of blood, it begins to clot, to coagulate, to strangle. That is why you must give and receive in order to keep wealth and affluence and abundance or anything you want in life circulating in your life. Money is really a symbol of the life energy we exchange and the life energy we use as a result of the service we provide to the universe. And in order to keep that energy coming to us, we have to keep the energy circulating. If you stop the circulation of money, if your only intention is to hold on to the money, since it is life energy, you will stop the circulation. Like a river, money must keep flowing, otherwise it begins to stagnate, to strangulate, and it can no longer support life. Circulation is what keeps it alive and vital. The best way to put the law of giving into operation, to start the process of circulation, is to make a decision that any time you come into contact with anyone, you will give them something. It doesn't have to be in the form of material things. It could be a flower, a compliment, or a prayer. In fact, the most powerful forms of giving are non-material. The gifts of caring, attention, affection, appreciation, and love are some of the most precious gifts you can give, and they don't cost you anything. When you meet someone, you can silently send them a blessing, wishing them happiness, joy, and laughter. This kind of silent giving can be very powerful. One of the things that I was taught as a child, and which I taught my children also, is never to go to anyone's house without taking something. Never visit anyone without bringing them a gift. You may say, how can I give to others when at the moment I don't have enough myself. You could bring a flower, one flower. You can bring a note or a card which says something about your feelings for the person you're visiting. You can bring a compliment. You can bring a prayer. But make a decision to give wherever you go, to whomever you see. And as long as you're giving, you will be receiving. Again, it doesn't have to be anything material, but by and by include material things also. They don't have to be expensive. The most important thing is to start the process of circulation. The more you give, the more confidence you will gain in that it brings things to you. And the more you receive, the more you will also be able to give.
Applying the law of giving.
I will put the law of giving into effect by making a commitment to take the following steps. 1. Wherever I go and whoever I encounter, I shall bear a gift for them. The gift may be a compliment, a flower, or a prayer. Today I shall give something to everyone I come into contact with. And so I will begin the process of circulating wealth and affluence in my life and in the life of others. 2. Today I will gratefully receive all the gifts that life has to offer me. I will receive the gifts of nature, sunlight and the sound of birds singing, or spring showers, or the first snow of winter. I will also be open to receiving from others, whether it be in the form of a material gift, money, a compliment, or a prayer. 3. I will make a commitment to keep wealth circulating in my life by giving and receiving life's most precious gifts, the gifts of caring, affection, appreciation, and love. Each time I meet someone, I will silently wish them happiness, joy, and laughter. The third spiritual law of success is the law of karma. Karma is both action and the consequence of that action. It is cause and effect simultaneously because every action generates a force of energy that returns to us in like kind. There is nothing unfamiliar about the law of karma. Everyone has heard the expression, what you sow is what you reap. Obviously, if we want to create happiness in our lives, we must learn to sow the seeds of happiness. Therefore, karma implies the action of conscious choice making. You and I are essentially infinite choice making.
Morning, gang. My apologies, gang. I'm just looking at gold right now. I like the longs. After we took all of them lows. So Yeah, gang. In terms of kind of what I'm looking at right now, with all the lows that just got tooketh, right? More or less, I kind of have my parameters around here, about 15, right? Pips. I still think we could fall. Um, so to me, I'm more or less just playing us sweeping all of these lows, this liquidity. I'm kind of looking at it as like smaller time frame accumulation as well, right? So more or less, that's kind of what I'm looking for. My apologies, gang. So yeah, basically, the top of this 5 minute candle, right, is essentially pushing straight down. To me, I think this should be the low of the day. Like if we take this low again, like to me, like I said, we're just gonna probably continue to drop more or less. What I really wanted to see was just the highs from yesterday get took, because it was like a holiday. It was like Labor Day, whatever the holiday was. So there just wasn't too much movement. There was just really a lot of sideways movement. We obviously broke down for most of the day, but in my eyes, it was just something that yeah, my apologies. My fault, gang. My fault, gang. So yeah, you guys should be in profits. I'm just kind of. I'm the reason why I was quiet was just because I was sending it out to chat, our team chat. I was just updating the parameters in terms of what we were looking for. Ideally, what I wanted to see as well on US 30 to kind of go over this quickly was well, not quickly, but I just want to be able to kind of run through the indices, because I know everything is going to be time sensitive with 10:30 coming up. So basically, what we could see on the indices is something more or less like this, right? In my eyes, I just think that we have just a lot of equal lows. I'm kind of looking at this little, like I wouldn't really consider it a valid break of structure. Like we did get a little counter trend, so we did break above, but in terms of just that high point, that last just valid high in my eyes, we didn't really actually make a low or a new high. In my eyes, this is still a lower low, just based off of just this right here, right? The reason why we use this area is because when we sit here and we look at, you know, where the lower lows and lower highs, right? This is where that break of structure happens, lower low, lower high. The reason why this is a lower low is because we actually closed below that previous lower low. So this is now a new lower low. This becomes our lower high. Why? Because as soon as we pop back up into here, we then drive back down, make a new low. So in my eyes, I'm looking at the indices as more or less a little bit bearish. Based off the 5 minute, of course we want to see price potentially come up into here, right? But we don't really have to see that. What we could see kind of take place is something like that. But I would still kind of be keeping an eye out more or less for this, right? So just being able to do that, I feel like having that awareness to kind of know where to dig in terms of where prices really needs to come back and fill. In my eyes, I'd be looking more or less out of these areas. To me, us reacting out of this little imbalance is cool. I still think we take these lows. I just think the equal lows are just set up a little bit too perfect. Right. Let's see this joint. Nas, obviously, out of the two, when we always talk about just bullish, bearish, which one should we be buying and selling? US 30 for the most part, we like sells. And Nas, I haven't really liked sells on Nas for like weeks, just because if you really look at things overall, right, we've been fairly bullish. But in terms of everything, I really think that it's going to be something that, like I said, you're going to continue to see a lot of divergence. So the thing about divergence, if you're just not too familiar, is just being able to use just the stronger one, or just be able to identify which structure is valid. I know sometimes when you see NAS go up and then you see US 30 go down, or if you see vice versa, sometimes it probably scares you. But I genuinely think it comes down to just having the confidence to know 30 for me, I normally use as the stronger one. So whatever direction 30 is going, I'm typically going to use that as the direction for the overall bias of the indices. But what I'm also going to do at the same time is sit there and kind of look at the structure in between NAS and 30. And like I said, sometimes you'll find more bullishness in NAS versus US 30. But then it's just being able to sit there and kind of distinguish, okay, like sometimes, for example, US 30 might give you a sell to then buy, right? But NAS might just offer buys. So it's like when you sit here and you're looking at NAS, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, we're bullish, of course. But then you look at 30 and you're like, damn, we might be bearish. And then because you think we're bearish, then what do you end up doing? Right? You short it. You probably don't take profit on your sells. And then what ends up happening? Right? You end up getting clapped. So just in terms of that, I really think you're going to have to allow yourself to gain the experience. And this is why I always recommend trading with live money. Even if you're trading like the smallest lot size as possible. To me, it doesn't make sense to trade on a demo, because when you trade on a demo, you literally don't feel the same type of feeling or the same type of motion at all. And that's just from my personal experience. Like, you guys sit there and you make a lot of money on your demo and you're like, yeah, woo, woo. But then it's like, you don't realize that maybe on your demo, like, you were over leveraging, right? And instead of sitting there and treating it like it's a $500 account, $1,000 account, a 10K account, whatever you're trading with in terms of capital, right? You sit there and you're using a 100K account, you over leverage, you make a quick 100, 200, 300, 400 bucks, and you think you did something because you over leverage. And then now what ends up happening? You bring those same type of disciplines and habits over to your live account, and then before you know it, you end up blowing your account. Like, the thing about proximity and having real trading mentorship is I don't think you should be progressively struggling with trading for longer than like a couple weeks, like at a time. Like, not even a couple, like, to me, a couple days. If you're struggling for more than a couple days, you just don't have the right access to people or information. Because if you knew what I knew, you'd do what I do. And for me, what I know from what I was taught was just, there's certain things you're going to want to look for, and there's certain things that you ideally don't want to see. And when you see those certain things, you typically are going to want to stay out of the market to avoid just putting yourself in those unnecessary scenarios where potentially you could lose, right? And to me, you can't be scared of the potential loss. You just have to sit there and be aware of the fact of, was this a loss that fundamentally you would take over and over again? And that just means, like, is it a loss where it's like it met so many of your confirmations that it really tricked you enough to the point where you were genuinely wrong? Because I don't think you guys be getting tricked. I just think sometimes we be doing dickhead shit, right? And then as a result, you see just what ends up happening. So Nas right now appears as though we didn't actually run the high of the day. So maybe we see shorts for real on everything. I like potential Nas shorts just because we didn't take the high of the day. It looks like on the 5 minute, we're about to have this engulfing candle to the downside. If we close in 45 seconds, if we engulf this candle, ideally what we could see potentially is NAS shorts, right? Stop loss above the high would be super safe, right? In terms of first easy target, to me, the low of the day makes a lot of sense, just because we didn't actually take the high of the day, right? So to me, that's one thing to keep in mind. Sorry, gang. Was just trying to send it out to the people that maybe are not able to tune into the stream, but could maybe pay attention to the chat. Let them know what we're looking for on Nas, that we're just looking for potential shorts. So ideally, we punch straight down at the open of this candle. To me, if we can get any type of correction, and by correction I just mean us coming above this black line. If we can come above that black line at all, to me, entry areas would essentially be valid all throughout this box. Like I said, ideally in terms of overall risk, we're not going to want to see price really come above this high right over here. And based off of current price, like I said, we just want to see price at the very least come back above where it basically was at right now. Like now, it doing what it did is just perfect in terms of being able to kind of see what we wanted, right? So to me, I like the idea of NAS shorts right now. So yeah, NAS shorts ideally look like a potential lickety lick if we could sit there and obviously just be able to play play accordingly, right? So to me, like I said, NAS looks good. Gold up a little bit as well. So yeah, NAS shorts, like I said, ideally it should be like probably like 20-30 point risk at the very most. I personally got in risking about 20 points. I have my stop loss at 15,487. But I don't know what broker data you guys have per se. So to me, I think it really will depend on what broker you're using, but ideally NAS should be in instant profits, right? So with NAS, like I said, with our stop loss being up here, what we're gonna really want to do is shrink it down basically to above this high. So these numbers are a little bit different than the ones on my broker data, but I would basically be looking to, like on my data, it would basically be 15,488, right? So that would be more or less kind of where I would be looking, right? In terms of just potentially having your stop loss in that particular area to avoid just obvious potential losses, whatever the case may be. Just reduce that risk, whatever have you not. So in my eyes, like I said, I just really think it's going to come down to just kind of how price plays out in terms of whether or not we're going to actually be bearish, or if we're going to continue with this bullishness and just be able to potentially take highs, right? To me, I think we would take the high of the day. We're not just going to leave that. So if we take the high of the day, like to me, if we take this this high right here basically, then in my eyes we probably just continue to go higher on the day. And even if we do sell off, it probably wouldn't be until like this area, right? I normally wouldn't even like areas like this. I like it more or less based off the reaction, right? Just seeing how price reacted. Like to me, I wouldn't have necessarily got in here, because to me, I would have wanted us to sweep this too. I wouldn't say that necessarily I would have wanted to see it come all the way up here, But at the very least, I think price probably should have came and tapped about this area. Right? So boom. Right, that's kind of more or less what we're looking at when it comes down to just the overall scheme of things, especially when it comes down to just taking potential positions. So in my eyes, like I said, we could still make our way up here. So that's why, to me, I would want to take like a smaller risk. But I just think, like I said, this just makes the most sense. 12-point risk. If you really just have stop to the low, and like you don't really put it any further, it'd be about a 1 to 6. So just in terms of that, I think that we could potentially see price, like I said, continue to kind of give us what we're looking for more or less. The shorts I like just because in terms of what we're looking for with gold, I want to see the potential buys. So to see indices short, because to me if NAS is shorted, then obviously 30. Like to me, I wouldn't really have a doubt in my mind that 30 is shorted. It looked like 30 just kind of missed our area too. Damn. Yeah, we just missed this. So 30 probably to me in my eyes comes back here. We probably see price come back up, fill that. And then you're probably going to see price continue to go lower. So indice wise, like I said, I like the idea of seeing continuation to the downside on price. But with just overall what we're looking for on gold, I think the alignment makes sense with just what we typically look to see. Right? We typically look to see gold obviously do the opposite, right? So I wouldn't really be confident with just, because to me, if gold were to be selling off, I wouldn't be confident with seeing the indices take the lows too. Because truthfully, the indices and gold, like at least NAS and gold look identical almost in terms of like the areas. If we were looking at it for like the hourly perspective, right? NAS has kind of been slowly making lower lows, lower highs, creating these equal lows, right? Where gold, right, we've been making lower lows and lower highs, and we basically just swept the liquidity from like last week, right, when we came into this area. So overall, like I said, risk wise, 15 pips, what I would do is reduce the risk to potentially about like 25, 54, right? So I wouldn't even be risking necessarily as much per se. Now I would kind of reduce my stop loss just because in my eyes, like I said, we shouldn't be continuing to like if this, to me, I'm looking at this as the low of the day, right? And the same way that we're kind of looking at NAS is that being the high of the day. So just with that kind of fundamental understanding, price shouldn't play around, first of all, and then price also shouldn't take the low again. So that's kind of where a lot of people sometimes get scared to like re-enter, because they might have tried to play buys. Like I know some people were probably trying to buy, you know, I don't know really what people would have been buying up until like this. Like the first attempt at buying for me was in here, right? And that was just because of this structure, right? And the reason why I bought it is because I'm like, okay, cool, 15-30 minute broke to the upside in terms of that little counter trend. We came back down, filled this IPA. We could just really see us. I didn't want to see a long-term buy, but I just wanted to see us come back up to 1940. The fact that we took to low, to me, I'm looking at this as still accumulation, right? So the fact that we took this low, I'm looking for this pop now to potentially see us actually go higher. So that's just some of the fundamental understanding and reasoning behind kind of why I was looking at what I was looking at, and kind of just going a little bit more in depth as to, you know, the purpose, because at the same time it's just something that in my eyes a lot of people just don't really have the understanding of why they're taking positions, and in turn they end up just getting a little bit confused or maybe frustrated because they just don't understand necessarily why something is happening per se, when in reality it's a lot more simplistic than that. But it's just having that access to the information and also the awareness to just know how to maneuver when it comes down to managing your mental, right? Because the biggest issue with trading is not people finding the entries, it is the mental, right? So that's kind of more or less what what we're looking at. But Goldie, it's busting, right? Um, so you can see Nas is kind of playing in this area that we wanted it to see, right? So to me, it's not to say that it's invalidated per se. I just think that Nas is very good at filling price action. So I like when price just kind of comes back up to these areas, especially if you have a 1 minute candle. Yeah, we have a little 1 minute IPA. So overall, like I said, I wouldn't consider this invalid until really candle close. But in my eyes, now you could even have potential like a better entry. So I just personally added another entry. Like I said, I don't even have my stop all the way up here. I have my stop personally just above this, because in my eyes, if we come above this area, if we even come back here, to me, we're probably going to take the high. And to me, we're not just going to take the high in my eyes and fall. I think we're going to take I think we would take the high and then fall. So I wouldn't want to have my stop loss above here, because to me, if it gets to here, in my eyes, it's going to get to this area. So why would I sit here and go from 13 to basically 24 points in terms of my risk? It's like it fundamentally just wouldn't make sense from just what we look for in the aspect of healthy price action, as well as just what we desire to see in terms of the algorithm. 1 second, gang. Set to reply to a text. But yeah, in terms of that, fam, Nas, I like my re-entry. Right, snipe that shit. So Nas, like I said, overall, we just want to see that bitch keep dumping. Right? We want to see it keep dumping. But we will see, right? We will definitely see. We in a different bag. Anybody in chat want me to go look over anything? I could take a look at just really whatever you guys want me to. Like I said, besides gold and the indices, I don't really care what happens to other things. If I'm being honest, like I have friends who will kind of be paying more attention to like seasonal moves on forex pairs. So like if like that's what I'm low key looking to get back into, just forex, trading forex. More or less for like the daily and weekly, just kind of the way I trade gold, to be honest, because I don't even really trade gold every day unless it's like on a funded account. Funded accounts is typically where I'm gonna find myself trading a little bit more, just because of the simple fact that with a funded account, I'm not necessarily looking for higher time frame moves. I'm more or less just looking to compound percentage, right, at a faster rate. And by faster rate, I just mean I'm more like you can't really hold swing trades on funded accounts with the equity rule, because for example, if you're someone like me who's holding gold buys from like 1600, or if you're holding gold sells from 2000, right? It's like, to me, if you're taking a funded challenge, it's like to be up more than 5-6% on like a seasonal long-term trade is very common, right? It's common for you to go up 5-6%. And if you guys don't know how the equity rule works with a lot of these prop firms, basically the way that the equity works is If, let's say, for example, you're taking a $100,000 challenge and you're not allowed to lose more than, what is it, 5K in a day, right? So if you're not allowed to lose more than 5K in a day, this is the perspective for you. Imagine you sit there and you take a trade, right? You take a gold buy, and now you're in profits, right? So you take the trade in London session, New York session, whatever the case may be, and you hold it in all the way till market close, right? So let's say, for example, in that trade, you're up $6,000, okay? So you're in profit $6,000, right? In terms of the equity, right, you would actually be up more than the 5%. You'd be up like 6-7%, right? 6%. So just understanding that you're being up 6%, now what you're going to sit here and do is understand that, okay, with price just being able to sit here and, oh my gosh, sorry family, 1 second. Just gotta reply to this real quick. I lost my whole train of thought too. That is wild. But yeah, basically when it comes down to just being able to position yourself consistently, like I said, what we want to be able to be in alignment with is simply just patience, right? Patience and discipline to be able to sit here and not force positions when it comes down to getting into the market, and just allow things to flow to you. Because a lot of the times we go out of our way to chase trades. Like, for example, like I said, Nas, it's like some of you guys probably entered like down here, right? So it's like you might be a lot more nervous, let's say, about this trade than maybe someone who entered here. And it's like, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, if we're being honest, right? It's just like, you can't sit here and be scared when it's like, hypothetically speaking, it's like you're taking entries at like the lowest or the highest price point that it should come to, which means, hypothetically speaking, it should be the best risk to reward. It should mean you will have the smallest stop loss entering all the way at the top of the box. And I don't understand what possesses people to sit there and hesitate. It's like, the whole point of you marking up these areas is to take the fucking area. And some of you guys be so scared. And it's like, you guys think that being scared is okay, right? And having a lack of confidence is okay. But it's like, we are who we are most of the time, okay? So, not some of the time. So, if you think that you're a disciplined trader, you're somebody who's very, very outgoing, like very, very organized, like you're someone who's the best trader, the best this, the best that. Like, if you just sit here and you're in this state of mind, right, you're not gonna be able to sit there and just like grow the way that people really are able to. Like, a lot of you guys be telling yourself, like, okay, look, let me give you this perspective, right? I was talking to this individual, right, and they wanted to learn a little bit more just about like trading mentorship and just like how to get tapped in with me, and just basically, you know, what I'd be able to kind of help them with, essentially, right? So when it comes down to that, right, what ended up happening, right, is simply, right, when we sit here and we look at just the overall scheme of things, right? Damn, this bitch gold is falling. I knew I should have closed that bitch. And profits. Yeah, gold about to hit us for a little light 10 piece. A little light 10 piece. 10 pip bizzles. But basically, like I said, when it comes down to being somebody who's confident to take a trade, you entering up here versus you entering down here, the difference in terms of mentality is just one person gets to break even a little bit faster. Another person is sitting there and like stressing because you're like, damn, this price is about to hit your stop loss, or like it's about to come close to like the area that you wouldn't want to see price just come to, and you're in 20 points down. So not only did you enter at an area that you shouldn't have, right, because you clearly had the area marked up, but it's like, now if it hits our stop loss, you're going to be even more mad because you're like, man, I got in with an extra 10, 15, 20 pips, right? When in reality, it's like we had the perspective, right? Stop loss just got tapped, right? So it's like, you know, my stop loss just got tapped, but it's like, to me, I'm okay with losing, you know, 8 points, and to me, I think my worst entry was about like 15, give or take. Right? So just understanding that, it's quite simple, right? Quite simple to sit here and really be able to just position yourself in and out the market, right? So this is just one piece of advice when it comes down to being able to get into the markets, is you want to be able to play the higher areas that you have, because to get back up to my last chain of thought, right? We are who we are most of the time. So if you guys don't display confidence on the charts, I can tell you're not confident in your life. So if you're not confident in your life, what I could tell is you probably get taken advantage of by people, right? And by taking advantage of, that means that you probably just don't stand up for yourself. You probably are the type of person who sits here and tries to please everyone but yourself. And the one thing that I hate to break to you is, like, a lot of you be really sitting there saying, yo, I want to help my why is my mom, my why is my dad, my why is my family. And it's like, you guys are bugging. How can you guys sit here and rely on something externally? Like, let's say, boom, your why is your mom, and your mom dies tomorrow. It's like, how the fuck are you going to sit here and have a purpose to continue when it's like the only reason why you were even doing something was to help your mom, and now your mom's dead. Now your dad's dead. Now your husband's dead. It's like, you can't sit here and have your why be something external. Like, your why needs to be something that's going to fulfill an internal desire, an internal, like, fantasy, really. So that's why when I say, if you're not confident on the charts, you're not confident in other aspects. Like I said, you probably get taken advantage of. Some of you guys are mad comfortable. And by mad comfortable, I mean, it's like, you've been living with your parents, some of you guys, for like your whole life. And it's like, instead of sitting there and struggling, right? Instead of being someone like Cash, who, instead of taking disrespect from their parents, would rather just leave. And if leave means fuck, being homeless. Like, a lot of you guys be bitching, I don't have friends, I don't have this, I don't have that. But then it's like, if you were to go post on your Instagram, right, today, that you have access to like a club or to like a booth, and that you have like 10 bottles, like, if you were to go post on your social media, like, hella people would hit you up to want to know how to get the link, get the invite, whatever the case may be, right? But it's like, how many of those people are really going to sit there and take care of you, right? Some of you guys sitting there and it's like, you have too much pride. You don't like to ask for help. Like, how could you sit here and expect to do things on your own when it's like, you don't even know what to do on your own? So you're sitting here trying to figure out something that you don't know how to do on your own, and then getting mad because you're not getting it. It's like, these are the type of things in perspective that we kind of have to like make sense in a way. And I know for some of you guys it's very difficult, right? Because you're slightly cognitively impaired, which is, you know, that's just the politically correct way of saying that you're stupid, you know? So I didn't want to call you stupid, but, you know, I'm going to call you cognitively impaired. So if you want to utilize the synonym stupid, that's cool. That's on you. Like I said, I don't believe that I'm cognitively impaired. And the reason for that is just because teachability index, right? Your teachability index is going to be the reason why you stay stuck. Damn, this one just flying. Oh, flying right into our second area. Whole lot of gang shit, no lame shit, man. So yeah, I lost 17 points in total between my two entries. I had like a 6-point risk on one and then a 7-point. To me, this is still valid per se. I'm low-key going to take a small risk. So what is that? 11. I would say I'm going to put my stop loss just a little bit above the body of this candle right here. So it's about like 13 to 14 points. And the reason why I'm going to put my stop loss there instead of above this high is simply because I think that we could still fill this imbalance here as well. So I would more or less just kind of want to see how price reacts out of that area instead of sitting there and going balls deep. Like, the thing about some of you guys is you be going balls deep before you really get the confirmation. And as a result, it ends up just cooking you guys because you guys are just in a trade way too early that didn't even give you a confirmation that you should even fucking be in. Like, to be honest, right? If we're just being honest. So, you know, for me, like I said, looking about 13, 14, right? Pips, gold was fucking around and finding out. I'm happy that I didn't have my stop loss as tight as I originally wanted. My fault, gang. So yeah, gold basically is the last chance to me to be able to get in if you didn't. I'm still in Nas. Ideally shorts by market, right? What we're gonna want to see is this low get taken. Now that we filled in this insufficiency on the 30-minute, to me, we captured the highs that I wanted. So that's kind of what I was discussing with you guys yesterday, just talking about the fact that when we have holidays and stuff like that, it's kind of a cheat code, because what you're going to start to realize is, especially if the holidays are on a Monday, Sunday is the market open, right? If Monday is a holiday and that's the first initial just real trading day of the week where the banks are open, right? It makes a lot of sense for us to leave all of this liquidity, leave these equal highs, right? Leave this equal highs right below this insufficiency, then to just come tap in it to then potentially see us continue lower. Okay, so that's why, like I said, when we took this position, it's like we entered by market up here. Now instantly, like I said, you're in profits, right? You're up 8 to 10 points already, right? Just from being able to get in at an area where fundamentally it just made sense. Prior, it didn't make sense fundamentally to be able to get into that position. Fundamentally now, it makes sense. Okay? So, in terms of that, gang, right, it's really going to come down to more or less what you guys are managing and risking, and just really how fast you guys are able to kind of push the buttons. Like, if I'm just being honest, you don't want to get caught lacking, right? You don't really want to get caught lacking, especially during times like this, right? Because it's just, there's no real point when it comes down to entering late, because like I said, if you missed this box, to me, I would always wait until it comes back in again, because to me, if it's not going to come back in again, it's going to come close. And that's more or less like the mentality that I always have with price. Okay? I'll just toss another. So yeah, Goldie looks quite decent. Decent. Nah, it's like I said, kind of the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so Goldie, I'm surprised really didn't hit me out, because my stop was right here at 40. And it just wicked it. So spread doesn't save my life today, gang. Normally spread is ass, but you know how we be rocking, man. So gold, like I said, to me, I'm not necessarily looking too crazy, right? I'm personally going to be partialing out here, and I'll be content with this fill, right? So I'll be content with this. But personally, just based off of what we've seen on Nas, what I would look to see is just still the same thing. I would want to see yesterday's high get taken, and us fill in some of that insufficiency and imbalance that would allow us to, continue in that direction health, healthy. Sorry, it sounded cooler in my head. I'm gonna be honest. Shit didn't sound cool out loud, right? But it is what it is, gang. It is what it is, man. It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. So get out, you pimpin', man. Yeah, gang. So in terms of that, 15-minute close, perfect. Right, lovely, lovely. Ideally, we want to see it. Let's just continue. So Nas, to me, this will probably be your last chance to enter, though. It looks like the hourly just opened straight up. Right, so more or less, like I said, we're looking for Nas to kind of break down, right? I know we said we don't like shorter Nas, but with a small risk like this, like if we could get it under 15 points and it just makes sense. In this case, it does make sense just based off of kind of how we filled, but we'll see, right? We'll really see. So I dropped that for you guys in the bootcamp chat. I'm gonna drop it for my guys too in our chat, right? And Goldie, man. How many you got into that? So yeah, I broke even on gold. Just because to me it shouldn't, like, the fact that it's even really kind of doing what it's doing is not the worst thing, but to me this is really as low as it should go. We shouldn't really see price kind of push too much further down. Ideally, we should see the beginning of the next 3 minute kind of wick down a little bit, and ideally, in my eyes, if you guys wanted to maybe secure partials, I would say, like, once we take this high, as soon as we pop above there, like, it's fair game. I don't know how much higher we're gonna go from there. Like I said, to me, it's like there's a little IPA here. This is really where my first target is, at about 1930. But overall, if we just, like, don't pass this area, like we fly past this area, then I'm really looking like 1940, right? So I wouldn't even be looking for a reaction up here or a reaction up here. I would be looking all the way up here for those highs to get taken and then to potentially see a reaction. But to me, I'm still, like, I've accepted the fact that we probably see price continue higher, right? So sorry, gangy. But yeah, ideally gold is up a little bag. Nas, hit me out, dumb little bitch. Dumb little bitch. But it's all good. All good. 30 probably, like I said, was the play. That's what I told you. I hate selling that shit because I be getting clapped. Get 30, right? 30 playing out of this area. If you like shorts on the indices and you didn't take Nas, then take 30 for sure. Right? Definitely. Definitely, gang. Alright, gang, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today, though. Target wise, like I said, ideally 30, the first target, 1930. Then from there, it's really gonna have to break above just all of these equal highs. And then to me, like I said, ideally 1940 is gonna be that next low pit stop target area. So in terms of that, gang, I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.